Hi guys, welcome to another devotional. Happy Friday. This is my 50-second devotional. Like when I saved this, I put Devo 52, like I number all of them, and that is just crazy to me. That means that I have a year's worth of devotionals and that we've been doing this for over a year, which is just so crazy. And it's crazy, but also kind of discouraging at times because the whole reason we started devotionals was because of COVID, and we might continue doing them even after COVID, but we are still in the midst of this pandemic, so that can just be frustrating and discouraging at times. So I actually wanted to talk to you guys today about a verse that has been so comforting to me in the past few weeks. So we're in Jeremiah chapter 32, and I'm going to start at verse 17. Ah, sovereign Lord, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you. You show love to thousands, but bring the punishment for the parents' sins into the laps of their children after them. Great and mighty God, whose name is the Lord Almighty, great are your purposes and mighty are your deeds. Your eyes are open to the ways of all mankind. You reward each person according to their conduct and as their deeds deserve. You performed signs and wonders in Egypt and have continued them to this day. In Israel and among all mankind, you have gained the renown that is still yours. You brought your people Israel out of Egypt with signs and wonders, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and with great terror. You gave them this land you had sworn to give their ancestors, and a land flowing with milk and honey. They came in and took possession of it, but they did not obey or follow your law. They did not do what you commanded them to do. So you brought all this disaster on them. See how the siege ramps are built up to take the city. Because of the sword, famine, and plague, the city will be given into the hands of the Babylonians who are attacking it. What you said has happened, as you now see, and though the city will be given into the hands of the Babylonians, you, sovereign Lord, say to me, buy the field with the silver and have the transaction witnessed. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me? So it's really that last verse that I have been focusing on in these past few weeks, Jeremiah 32:27. I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me? And the other night I was trying to fall asleep, and my brain does not shut off. I so wish that there was a switch I could turn it on and off for my brain. And I find during the day that it's okay because I'm distracting myself with work and school and other things. But then the minute I lay down at night, my head hits the pillow, my brain is like, like I have time to run rampant now because I'm not being distracted by anything. And so this often leads my brain to think about things that it shouldn't be thinking about and things that I'm dwelling and worrying and stressing about. So the other night I was just laying in bed thinking about this situation, and I was just so overwhelmed by it. And it was one of those things that I was like, Kate, stop thinking about it. And then it would pop back into my brain like, Kate, stop thinking about it. And it's like one of those, like I find having control over our thoughts is so difficult because we all like it's not a decision we make. It's almost like we can't decide what we think about. It just pops into our head. Whereas in I can like decide whether I'm going to go and like punch that person who's bothering me. I don't know. Like that is like a physical action that I can say no to, and I can be like, no, Anna, don't go do that. It's not like my arm just takes over and punches someone, but I feel like my brain takes over and it's just like, well, whether you want to or not, we're going to think about this right now. And so something that I've been doing lately when trying to fall asleep at night is reciting memory verses. And as a lot of you know, Becky and I are going through Awana together, so I just recite all the verses that I know. And I used to kind of recite them in the order that I learned them in and go through all the different books, but I'll often like forget what order things were in. So lately I've been going and I've just started with Genesis, recite all the verses I know from Genesis. Then Exodus, all the verses I know from Exodus. And I Side note is that I always think that this verse, Jeremiah 32:27, is actually found in Leviticus. So I accidentally think that it's Leviticus 32:27 because the verse that I memorized right after this one is Leviticus 19:2. Be holy because I, the Lord your God, am holy. So I was laying in bed and I was like, Genesis, okay, all of them, Exodus, okay, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus was next. So I was like, Leviticus 32:27, which is actually wrong, but that's okay. And when you just I was just reciting things, not even dwelling on what the verses said, but more just trying to distract my brain. And so I go, Leviticus 32:27, I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me? And I stopped in that moment and was like, wait a second, Anna, listen to what you just said. Listen to that verse because it was so timely for that moment. And I was just like, I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me? And I just love that it's posed in the form of a question, because sometimes when we recite truths or facts or verses or whatever, we're just like, yeah, and we move on. But when something is in the form of a question, it automatically makes our brain think about what the answer is. So it actually made me stop and reflect and contemplate on, is anything too hard for God? And the answer is no. And God is saying to Jeremiah here, do you not trust me? Do you not believe that I am faithful? Do you not believe that nothing is too difficult for me? And in that moment, I just felt like God was saying that to me as well. And the thing that I was worrying and stressing about, he was like, you think that this is an impossible situation, but it is nothing for me. And so I just recited this verse over and over and over again. And before I knew it, it was the next morning and I was waking up to my alarm clock. So I had fallen asleep reciting this truth to myself over and over again, which was just such a comfort. And in these days of COVID and this pandemic and many other difficulties on top of that are happening in each and every one of our lives, we can become so overwhelmed with what is going on and what God is doing. But I think that this is just a great reminder that He is the Lord of all mankind, not just some of us, not just back when this verse was written, but of all mankind. That includes you and that includes me. And He says, is anything too hard for me? And the answer is no. So whatever it is that you are going through right now, whatever worries, stresses, anxieties that you have, I just pray that you would hand them over to God and know that they are not too hard for Him. And that doesn't mean that He is just going to magically bring you out of it, that He's just going to today make this pandemic disappear, but He is capable of giving us what we need to get through these circumstances and these difficult times. He can give us peace and comfort and help us endure through these difficult times, and He will bring us out of them at some point, because at some point we're all going to go and be in heaven with Him, those of us who have chosen to follow Him. So we know that that is what our future holds. So I hope that that was an encouragement to you guys, and just recite that verse, Jeremiah 32:27, over and over to yourself when you're having those difficult times, when you are stressed, when you are worried, and you are doubting what God is doing, because it is such an encouragement. So that is my devotional for today. Happy 1 year of doing devotionals. Thank you so much also just for your feedback and your encouragement from these devotionals. It has been a joy and a pleasure for each of us to do these each week, because it helps us stay in the Word and to then, I don't know about you guys, but I learn by teaching. So these things just stick in my mind and encourage me by me teaching them to you and just telling you guys about them. So this has been a huge blessing in our lives, and I hope and pray it has been a blessing in yours as well. So we will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather, and we'll see you soon. Bye.